Well, good afternoon. I must apologize for being late again, but things happen. I am not a professional. I do not do this for a living, so I am subjected to the ups and downs of life, shall we say, the reality of life. Okay? First of all, let me just say I am happier than I could possibly be with the job that Trump screwed up last night. He couldn't have been worse, and according to the American public, he couldn't have been worse. Now, I have a problem with a problem with what that means, because I read the article. I read all articles, and there's some, that are taking there's they don't want to say it's all over, because if they say it's all over, nobody's going to listen to anything these guys do for the next 6, 7 weeks or whatever, to the election. And then Trump might be able to pull it out. But I don't think it's necessary for a second debate, unless Kamala just wants to have some fun with him, because he'll be vicious, and that's not something you want to deal with. He'll have time, and this time he'll know what he's going up against, and she won't be able to rile him as easily as she did. And he'll spend most of the evening trying to rile her and get even with her. And they're going to want that interview on that next debate, if there is another one, on Fox. They won't do it if it's not on Fox. So, you got a lot of things you have to consider. Do you want to do that? Do you want to risk I don't know why he wants to do it. He said he doesn't want to do it, and I'm pretty sure he won't do it, because his advisors are going to tell him it's not worth it. He's got to go out there now and figure out how to embarrass her without her being able to reply, which is what he does all the time. He makes statements in rural Michigan or rural Pennsylvania, and he goes and he plays to his demographic strengths. He tries to he'll try to have huge rallies and whatnot, which, is another thing he talked about, which I thought was way she got to him was, the man is obsessed with size, okay? Size is everything to this guy. And now I'm beginning to wonder about that. They talked about the closed. They talk about the closed door meeting between Putin and Trump and everybody. They don't know what really went on in that meeting. Well, maybe they were measuring dick size. This guy, Trump is absolutely obsessed with size. The size of his hand. Somebody said he had small hands. Small hands means a small dick. One of these days he's going to whip it out. You know what I'm saying? And on national TV. He's out of his mind, because he's out of his element. He's not used to dealing with smart people who aren't afraid of him. Smart people who are afraid of him no longer perform up to their potential. But people that aren't afraid of him are his worst enemy, whether they're brilliant or not. Because they can understand him, that they understand that he's a liar. But I understand that he's not only a liar, but he believes everything. The problem that you have with this guy, and he could probably pass a lie detector test, is because he believes everything he says to be the honest truth. And of course it's not. Most of it's very easily disproved, because there's video, or there's the written statements by him, or he just, does things the exact opposite. We all know he's a narcissist. Nothing's more important to him than him. And that's why, his plans don't have any... Again, Kamala's, I think, is vague on her plans, and I think she understands something. It depends on what she faces when she's elected, what the House and the Senate look like after this election, whether she can implement anything. because let's assume that she's already thinking ahead to a second term, because then she won't have to run against Trump at all, and so they don't know who she's going to run against. But to start saying we're going to do this, this, and that, and not be able to do it because of the makeup of the Congress or the Senate, and in some instances it's not worth the effort to try, depending on how the makeup is, and I understand that. But she brought up an issue, and one that that I liked the relationship between John McCain and Joe Biden was that these people in the Senate had come up with this, in the Congress, when they had come up with this bill for immigration, a joint bill approved by both sides, and Trump said no, because I want to run on immigration. I don't want a good policy there. And I believe Kamala has said that she's going to try and implement it, get that bill through the Congress and the Senate, and when she's elected. And I think that'll be a good idea. Of course, I'll have to read more about it to find out the small fine print, because that's when they screw you, is the fine print, which they call riders. Yeah, people should really study riders. You get what you want, but you also get screwed. So that's something for the future to talk about. How is it? We also have to talk about the fact that this is September 11th. 9/11, as people recall it. I don't know. I woke up to Don Imus on television. I think he was on Fox at the time. I'm not sure. And as well as the radio. And he was. They were talking about it, and the plane had just hit. The first plane had just hit. And I'm laying on my bed and I'm watching this, and I hurry up, I take a shower, get ready to go to work, and just as I got to work, the second plane hit. And I'm looking at this is not an accident. This is, the first one, you looked at it, and people were claiming, well, the first reports were there was an accident, and it wasn't. It was just a matter of a few minutes before they knew it wasn't an accident. But if you watched it hit, if you saw the hit, you knew it wasn't an accident, that this was that we were under attack of some sort. And the report, he was talking to somebody, I've forgotten the man's name, but it was a sports announcer. He's very famous, and he worked the Imus in the morning show, sort of like as he was in his semi-retirement, and he was a sports announcer as well as a contributor in other ways, and he lived where he could see it. He was very, very close to it, and he was reporting on it, and how the dust was coming into his street and was approaching the building, and he didn't know how long he was going to be able to stay there because of the dust. Older people can't take the dust. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with dust in my house. I don't dust. Anyhow, and it was just the stuff that came out after that, and the heroes that everybody was a hero on that day. I watched that at work, and I wanted to go, and my employer, who happens to be was this husband and wife that I was working for at the time, were very, very close friends of mine. They were probably at that particular moment the best friends I had in New Jersey, where I was living at the time. And they said, "No, you can't go. You'll never get there. Do you know how to get in?" And I was going, "I don't really know. Where am I going to leave my car? How am I going to handle this?" And so they kept me from it, and I've regretted that. I've regretted that for a while, but I've also said, well, with my health conditions as they get right now, and I was 50 years old then, 50 something years old then. 23 years ago, I was 55. I can see myself, not, and I wasn't the greatest health at the time, superhuman condition or anything like that. So I don't know what I would have been able to do and not be able to do, but I probably wouldn't lived as long as I have had I gone. But that's all right. If I saved somebody's life, which I don't know whether I ever would have been able to do that, but at least I would have been contributing something. More than some politicians, a lot of politicians. What they don't understand is you had a Republican president who declared that all aircraft should be grounded, and I remember, and I'm 99.9% sure this is true, that one airplane left the United States area. I believe came out of Chicago. I could be wrong about where it came from. It could have come out of Washington D.C., but took several members of the Saudi royal family out of the country, back to Saudi Arabia or thereabouts. Anyhow, basically was safe for their own protection. That was before they knew that they didn't understand that Bin Laden was a member, was related to the Saudi royal family at the time. I don't know whether they would have let them out of here had they known that, but. That was an issue at the time. I was just talking to somebody yesterday rather, and they never realized that. And I said, yeah, that's the plane I was told that specifically that it was the only plane in the air at the time, or the last plane in the air, whatever have you, And it was escorted by U.S. fighter planes under orders of the President of the United States, which at the time was Bush. I think he had to come out from under the bed when he made that order, but that's what it was. I've heard Trump say, this or that would have never happened had I been president. I'd like to hear what he has to say about 9/11. And he said, he has said privately it shouldn't have taken 10 years to capture this guy. But you have to understand the relationship with the Saudi family that the government of the United States has had for a long time. So I'm not surprised that it took so long to get him. And that he was shot dead and beheaded or beheaded or whatever, and he was gone. Body was dropped at sea, whatever. Just to say that this is it's over. I don't know whether he was ever. I doubt if he was kept alive or anything. I believe he was dead, but they want to make sure it was over. And it was a little anticlimactic because at that point in time, I don't think he was as big a terrorist as he had been in the past. I don't think he was as influential as he had been in the past. But that's, something I don't know anything about. All right, what else is going on? There's another story from yesterday about. I think he actually brought it up in the interview, and that was just a stupid thing to do. About Springfield, Ohio, is it? I think it's Springfield, Ohio, where they were, or Aurora, Ohio, one of these places. Aurora was Colorado, I believe. But I thought he said that's where they were. The Haitians were running around, stealing animals, pets, and whatnot, and cooking them and eating them. Now, we've had incidences of stuff like that in the United States in the past. We had people old couples in Brooklyn, old people in Brooklyn at one time. Oh God, long time ago, long time ago, were found to be eating dog food. Turns out the dog food was better than Hamburger Helper and Hamburger put together. It's actually better for them. I'm not going to go into the brand of dog food it was, but that's what they were doing. If you're starving, and there's a reason you're starving, is that you're not being helped by anybody. You're an immigrant. You haven't got a job. You can't get a job. You're just hanging out. And you got to eat. Their choices were to get them food or they eat their pets. Now I don't think that was going on, because I know a lot of pet owners that if that was going on, there'd be a lot of bodies stacking up out there, because they would just start shooting them. If somebody said to me, your dogs, they just stole your dog and they're eating it, I'd start shooting every Haitian I could find. And I'm not a bigot. I got nothing against them at all. I just love my dog, and I'm not going to let that stand. That's just not going to happen, And I think there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. Pet owners are strange people. We're strange people. Our pets are our best friends, our confidants. They're loyal. They don't require any money or anything like that from us. They very seldom ask favors. They just ask us to take them out every once in a while, or let us out in the backyard every once in a while. You can do anything you want to a pet. You can beat it. You can do whatever you want. It's going to come back and love you no matter what, especially a dog. So, in this particular incident, I don't see people letting that stand. And there has been a mass execution of Haitians, if that was any truth to that whatsoever. Now the police, I know some police officers that would go in and shoot him, and just no, I don't believe it. Is it a possibility? Yeah, but I just don't think it could happen because of that. Because of the way people feel about dogs and cats and stuff like that, they would just absolutely go batshit. It would make national news. They wouldn't be calling the police station and reporting it. They'd be calling CNN and reporting it. It's just, I don't believe it happened. I just think that that's another scare tactic Trump uses, because he can't win on the truth. There's no way he's going to win if it's an honest election and if people vote for truth, because he doesn't know what the truth is. The truth to him is whatever he comes out of his mouth. He's got what he wants, and if he gets elected, he'll be the worst dictatorial president ever. He could probably be worse than Uban, the one he idolizes, who's a terrible dictator. Putin, whose opposition has a tendency to disappear. All right, listen. That's it for now. I've been reading and listening. I'm going to continue to read and listen to what's going on, and see if we can come up with anything more. I watched the debate, so I know pretty much, scumbag lost. So, but I don't know how that plays out going towards the election until I see some new polls and whatnot. All right, everybody have a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.